All right, here's the truth. Altcoins aren't dead, but the opportunity has definitely moved. The market's not like previous cycles where you could long any altcoin with decent fundamentals and you'll make money. The market is now constricted to the coins with the best flow. In today's video, I'm going to break down the 10 narratives which I think have the strongest potential to experience positive flows over the next 6 months. I'm going to explain my thesis for each narrative, some of the altcoins I'm researching or have bought in each narrative, and I'm going to explain, this is very important, the tools that you can use to dive deeper. I see so many of these guides just shilling altcoins, but not actually teaching people how to catch a fish for themselves. So in today's video, I want to show you exactly how you can use the best tools in the market for each narrative to find altcoin gems. If you're new to this channel, my name is Deutscher. I've been in the space for over 6 years. I've experienced everything, losing a bunch of money, getting scammed, making 100x, anything in the market. And now this new channel is dedicated to teaching you everything that I've learned in the market and condensing it into money frameworks, mental models, and deep dive guides that can help you become a better crypto investor. And that's exactly what I'm going to be bringing you today. By the way, this isn't in order of preference. I think all of these narratives are equally as important, but for different ways. Narrative number 1 is the AI agent / X402 narrative. So Coinbase recently came out and announced a new payment standard allowing agents to interact and pay from agent to agent, which I think is going to be massive because I definitely see a world in the future, and I think we're heading this way with traditional finance, but especially in crypto, where people can transact DeFi, do payments, send money to their friends, all through an agent. For example, imagine if you had an agent that you could voice prompt on your phone and say, hey, withdraw $10,000 from this liquidity pool, send half into a wallet, use that wallet to DCA into Bitcoin over 2 weeks. If Bitcoin goes above $120,000, sell 20%, send that to another wallet, and then rotate half of that into Ethereum, and then put the rest of the residual stablecoins in a stablecoin pool that's earning X, Y, and Z yield under X, Y, and Z parameters. And it just automatically operates for you. And then after it suggests stuff, you can actually action it then and there. Like, that is the world I think we're heading into in crypto. No more MetaMask wallets and ledgers and clicking a bunch of buttons and trying to find the right pools and working out where can I buy this coin on what DEX and what exchange. Like, it should be all automated and abstracted for you. And if we head towards that world, then the best infrastructure in AI are going to be huge winners and massive beneficiaries of this trend. And I think the recent X402 launch is the step forward for this, because we need better infrastructure, and having one of the biggest players in crypto and financial markets in general, Coinbase, pushing forward into this space is a massive vote of confidence and also enables us for this to actually succeed. I'm not going to give you a massive list in today's video, but some interesting plays are Anon. They have an interface and an abstraction layer to facilitate all of this. And you've got Cookie as well, which are more on the attention capital market side, allowing you to basically get incentives if you invest and, speak about a project. They also have their AI agent scanner, which I find really helpful. Then you have a bunch of infrastructure projects. There are some new ones launching, which I have exposure to as an early investor. I'm not seeing ape into these coins because you never know how they'll launch and how they're TGE, but Piverse is building in the X402 narrative there, heavily linked with the Binance ecosystem, even follows them on X. You've got Fraction AI, Sentient. These are the sorts of projects that I'm looking that haven't even launched yet. And then you've got your broader ones like Aethia, Tau, and WorldCoin, which I'm positioned in. These are your large caps. They don't give you exposure to agents specifically, but they are AI infrastructure. So as the world moves more into AI, they should also benefit. Now, for the exciting part of the narrative for you, and I'm going to be doing this for each of the 10 in today's video, how can you actually spot alpha in the AI agent sector? Well, I think the best website is cookie.fun because it has the entire agent dashboard, and you can look at mindshare growth and change to see whether it's gaining traction or losing traction or relevance. You can look at price growth. That's become my go-to resource for agents. Like, anytime I'm researching agents, I'm probably using Cookie more than I'm using like Dex Screener and these other applications. So putting you on some game there for you to go and research yourself, because I want to teach you how to find your own plays, not just spoon feeding everything. Sector number 2, this is robotics. We are now starting to see humanoid robotics coming to market. Now, I still think we are like 5 to 10 years off this being a mass market thing, and they're still too expensive. Like, the Neobot's $20,000. I think the average person would love to spend $1,000 to $2,000, and then maybe they would start considering it. So I think that's pricing a lot of people out. But nonetheless, we know the world is heading into robotics, and we know the world is heading into crypto. It's just far more efficient. That's why some of the biggest players in the market, like BlackRock, are heavily investing and advocating for this technology. Literally, the CEO, Larry Fink, keeps harping on about asset tokenization. And that's why many of the big players in the markets, PayPal, MasterCard, they're all doing stuff in crypto. So robotics, I think, converges these two worlds really nicely. And although not a lot of these coins are established players in the market yet, and admittedly some of them are kind of grifty and are like not fake but aren't really robotics but are just branding as robotics. I still think there's a big opportunity here. The narrative is just strong, and remember, this entire video is about narrative. I'm not saying that every altcoin that isn't a part of these 10 narratives is bad. I'm just saying that likely these are the 10 narratives which are going to have the most attention, and if a narrative has attention, then you can probably make more money off it, even if it is in the short term. And I think robotics is definitely one of those trends. It's a clear narrative long term. There'll be some huge winners in crypto, but also short term. It's something that can pop off. Like if we see humanoid robotics gaining traction, if we see a new robotics launch, this is the sort of thing that can pop off really quick. Now, the website I use to track robotics is Edge Network. They have an excellent tool called RobotScan, which is like an in-depth version of CoinGecko for diving deeper into robotics. So you can use this to screen all of the low caps and new launches in robotics. I prefer using dedicated websites when I can. For example, Cookie for AI agents, Edge Network for robotics, then using CoinGecko, because there are specified metrics, analysis, and filtering on these sites to help you get a better idea of that specific sector. But of course, I also use like CoinGecko and Dex Screener and these broader tools as well. So I'm not gonna talk about exact alts for this sector. There are a few I'm eyeing, but I'm not heavily invested because I think not all of them have proven themselves, but it's definitely a space where I'll see myself speculating over the next few months. In the Miles High Club, that's my private Discord community. That is where I'm sharing all of these early picks. So as I come across them and find them, that's where I share the low caps first. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. Number 3 is prediction markets. Now, this is a big trend, actually a massive trend, which actually transcends crypto, because I've seen many of my like retail, or as you would call them, like normie friends, actually betting and using Polymarket. Even Tom Brady mentioned Polymarket on live TV. Like it's becoming a big deal.
I didn't expect to see 2 Mark Andrews tush pushes, so why not? Check the Polymarket. See what it says.
I think if you lift up the hood, there are also lots of lower cap infrastructure plays which could be interesting. Similar to robotics, aside from the leaders in the market, they aren't that obvious, but I know the addressable market here is huge. And the whole point of this video isn't just to shill you altcoins. Obviously, throughout the video, I'll mention altcoins as I think they're relevant. It's more so to prepare you that these are the narratives that are going to get attention. And if I were researching anything right now, these are the narratives I would be researching. In fact, a bit of a tip after watching this video, I'm mentioning 10 things. Pick 3 to 4 things and go deep on them. You don't need to become an expert in everything. Maybe you pick AI and prediction markets and then one of the sectors later in today's video, and you just research those 3 and become an expert and dive deep, because there will be lots of on-chain plays and opportunities underneath each sector. I don't really have a resource for this like the other narratives, but what I will do is leave my ultimate guide on the screen right now, so you can screenshot this and save it for your own use if you would like the overall playbook to playing prediction markets and a full overview of the sector. Okay, moving on to narrative number 4. This one has been really hot in recent times, and it's privacy. We've recently seen ZK becoming extremely popular after Vitalik has been pushing the ZK narrative. And this is becoming very clear now that Ethereum is using ZK, and a lot of the decisions going on in the Ethereum Foundation are about adopting this technology. And they've been really aggressive with promoting and helping and facilitating ZK usage, because it is the future of crypto. Like ZK technology, it's efficient, it's privacy preserving, and it's pretty much where the entire market is going. It's amazing technology. AI16Z just published a report showing extremely strong demand for privacy tools. I think it's something that crypto has lacked for a long time, but the market definitely wants and demands. I mean, look at ZEC, how strongly that's been performing. That can be one of the catalysts, especially as it keeps going up for the rest of the sector. Now, there's no dedicated website for this like the others, but if you use CoinMarketCap, they probably have the best privacy list that I've seen in the space that you can utilize to look at some of these plays and research them further. Now, on to number 5, revenue generating protocols. Now, of course, in the stock market, you would say, well, by default, something has to be revenue generating, or at least have an idea that it will be generating revenue to be valuable. But the reality is in crypto, it's all based on flows. So it's more of a speculative market that runs based on the anticipation of attention or the anticipation of flows, and not necessarily flows themselves. So now the fact that this narrative is big, it's kind of funny because this is what it should have been all along. But obviously last year was the big meme run. This year, I think, is the utility run. And you're seeing the coins that are outperforming, like Hyperliquid, for example. Recently ENA had a period where it really outperformed Mantle and BNB. These are all coins which are revenue generating and have have some sort of buyback system where they generate revenue and they funnel it back into buying back the token. This will be a big trend in the future because the market loves speculating on buybacks. It's also one of the reasons why Ethereum ran, because people were front running the DAT Treasury, and Bitcoin as well for that matter. So the market loves the revenue generating protocols because it can assign a number, and once it works out how big that number could be, the price can run up in the lead up to that number becoming real. And then, it can end up becoming sell the news, and the narrative can dry up a little bit. But the big money to be made is in the early days. So there are lots of asymmetries in the market where you can spot tokens with really strong fundamentals that are revenue generating, but maybe the market hasn't woken up to it yet. And there's a few websites I use for this. You've got DeFi Llama. This is a go-to. It can show you a bunch of things, revenue, fees, and it's just got so many features packed into the one site. June Analytics is also great for niche features. So you can actually search on the dashboard a protocol or a narrative and get in-depth analysis over the growth of that sector. And the other thing that you can look at is Token Terminal. This is more on the unlock side. So definitely revenue generating protocols or utility protocols, but I think revenue generating encapsulates it a bit better, are going to be the continued focus of the market. The way I'm thinking about it is 2024 was, the meme coin year. 2025 and 2026 are looking like they're going to be the revenue year. Now, of course, we can still see meme coins run. They're an intrinsic part of crypto. In fact, I think at some point we'll even see memes come back for a little bit, but I think it won't be as strong as the revenue generating meta, which is currently hot. Leading on from that, number 6 is the stablecoin narrative. This is a big one because I would go so far to say that stablecoins are the product in crypto with the most product market fit of anything. That is how big they are. Everyone in crypto uses stablecoins, and outside of crypto, it's found the most PMF, even amongst non-crypto users. The amount of borderless transactions that are happening peer-to-peer with stablecoins, institutions, shops, retail, I think even Emirates soon is accepting stablecoins. This is the future. It's so much more efficient, so much faster. You never have issues unless you put in the wrong address or network. And the PMF is very clear with the growth of the overall market size. So it would be remiss of me not to include the biggest sector in crypto on this list. Now, there are a lot of protocols that are building on top of stablecoins. So obviously Athena is an obvious one, but there are many, many other protocols which benefit from the growth of stables. You've got DeFi protocols like Pendle and Fluid and other protocols that are issuing their own stablecoin that you can use to get exposure. My tip would be using CryptoSlate for this. I think it's a great website to get an overview of stablecoins and stablecoin related projects. So CryptoSlate is the one that I would use for this, and also DeFi Llama as well, because it has a lot of the stablecoin growth metrics baked in for a specific protocol that you're researching. So you can use Slate as a scanner and then DeFi Llama in order to dig deeper into each specific protocol. The next narrative, and there's 4 more left. Number 7 is RWA and tokenization. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this is the agenda being pushed by the really big people, and I think it's just such a massive vertical. I mean, look at the market cap of gold. It's over $30 trillion. Real estate is something that's extremely untapped. We still haven't seen proper fractionalized real estate and yield in crypto. All of this is coming, but the infrastructure has actually held the market back. So I feel like we're only finally getting to a place where blockchains are fast enough and efficient enough, and we have enough stablecoin liquidity, and we have enough tools at our disposal to make this happen. And regulation, of course. I think Trump really opened the floodgates for this. So I think you'll see a lot of the top performing protocols coming out of the RWA space. Anything that is able to generate real revenue from a principal asset derived in the real world can do really, really well in this space. There's a tool called RWA XYZ, which is really helpful to research this sector. And look, in terms of protocols that I would recommend looking into in RWA, you've got Pendle and Syrup. These are 2 of your flagships. You've got a lot of, DeFi that has crossover into RWA. You've got Clearpool, who are doing payments. You've got Chintai Network. You've got Multiply.fi. I'm actually doing a bit of stablecoin farming there, so I've parked some money there. I am earning 7%, but I'm also getting an airdrop, so the real yield on that could be a lot higher. And I think they're going to be one of the big players on the yield side of RWA. So it's just a sector with massive growth and massive potential. Narrative number 8. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I want to get into the final 2, but it's Perp DEXes. Clearly, this is a sector with product market fit. It's been massive. Hyperliquid's been driving the trend. I still think there's lots of airdrop opportunities in the Perp DEX space. I still think there's also opportunities on the token side. Hyperliquid's the leader. A lot of projects are fighting for that second place, like Asta. It's still a sector that I think could do really well. And I think what happened on the 10th of October with the big liquidation event on centralized exchanges is only going to push the market further towards Perp DEXes. And I guess that's why these exchanges are building Perp DEXes, because a lot of big exchanges had issues and a lot of the Perp DEXes operated fine. So a lot of people got liquidated on the big exchanges or had issues where they couldn't manage their positions, but they were able to put orders through on Perp DEXes. So the future is Perp DEX, and they're also revenue generating. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the narrative before. Now, the final two narratives I think are being underrated by the market. So number 9 is DATs. So these are the treasury vehicles. The big opportunity here is not buying a Bitcoin treasury or an Ethereum treasury, in my opinion. The big opportunity is looking into the effects that new treasury companies can have on existing altcoins. There are many new models coming. Like, this is a pretty new thing. It's pretty novel. We've only recently seen like Bitcoin and Ethereum and these treasuries, now Solana and stuff starting to launch. But I think where it becomes really interesting is when DATs can really leverage a strong flywheel and a strong pipeline in order to truly support their token, instead of like running these, Ponzi games. So a token recently that stood out to me, Aethia. So Aethia is launching a DAT, and there's a really interesting mechanic there with enterprise deals and the revenue being generated and the buybacks of the Aethia tokens and the buying of Aethia tokens on the open market. That is an extremely interesting flywheel that I think the market could be underpricing at the moment. That's why I recently added more Aethia to my portfolio. That's one example, because the token's down, but this is about to come and could be massive for the token. There are many more examples like this in the market. They aren't all here at once, but they are coming. And that is a sector that I would be looking into. What are the new treasury vehicles launching, and keeping an eye out on existing projects, and if they launch a vehicle. And if they launch a vehicle, I'm not saying buy them. Research further and see if the mechanics are unique and could potentially contribute to higher prices, because not every DAT is going to be a buy. Now, the last narrative that I think is absolutely huge for the space is ICM, Internet Capital Markets. And this is one that was really hot when Launchcoin launched, but recently has started to die off. But the simplest way to explain this is there are amazing products, amazing projects, amazing founders that actually benefit a lot more from launching in Web3 than Web2. Like, if you have a great AI startup, great technology, is it going to be quicker to try and raise money in Silicon Valley and go through all the regulatory constraints and try and, find money to bootstrap and then build on potentially inefficient rails? Or is it quicker to launch a token, bootstrap liquidity instantly, have an incentivization model, for example, nodes or staking, which incentivizes users to contribute to the network, getting more network effect, getting more users, mindshare, and attention straight off the bat? This framing has resulted in a lot of existing companies, because I'm speaking to a lot of them, that are now like, we're not going to launch in Web 2, we're going to launch in Web 3, because it's actually better for our model. And I think there's a natural synergy with AI in particular, where launching in Web 3 just makes a lot more sense. And not just AI, but like anything that is potentially open source or you need contribution to a network, decentralization is literally the only way to do it. So Internet Capital Markets is a big trend that I would be looking for. Now, obviously there are the launch pads, like Launchcoin, for example, where these projects can launch, but I don't think it's just limited to that. So yes, you can look into those ecosystems. Yes, a lot of the new projects are going to be launching in those ecosystems, but really smart founders, have many means to launch their own tokens, and looking into that space and researching that space, I think is super important. Once again, I'm taking lots of these meetings, me and my team, where we're actually talking to builders from Silicon Valley that are launching in crypto, and I'm investing more time to actually helping these people get into crypto. So when I see new stuff that's interesting in that space, I'll update the Discord first. So link in the description to Mars Highcliffe if you want to join and be a part of the best community in crypto. And ICM rounds out the list here as, I think, an underrated narrative that you can look into further. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's a narrative or a sector that you're bullish on that I didn't mention in today's video. But I think if you pick 2, 3, 4, I wouldn't do all of them at once, but if you could pick a few of these sectors and just dive really deep into them, there's so much opportunity. And that's generally the best way to go in crypto. Niche down, focus on a few instead of all of them. And I think you're in a good position to succeed over the next 6 months, because a lot of people are still focused on old narratives, which clearly aren't going to have attention this cycle. You need to be focusing on the hottest baskets. And even though the altcoin market isn't as hot, these coins still can be. So you can create your own edge there. I'll see you in the next video. Speaking of edge, subscribe to Crypto Edge, this channel, using the subscribe button, of course. Click the post notification bell so you're updated when I upload a new video, and I will see you in the next one. Have a lovely rest of your day. Peace out.